Wow, friends and enemies. I just noticed, Len, when I hit go live, it had 4K pre-selected. So
Ooh.
hopefully...
So we could see this in
All
glorious
the
HD.
high def.
The Singapore dollar. Thank you to the individual. I don't want to name your name just in
We
case
already
you want to
said Wedge sent it to us.
Oh, was it? Okay. Thank you, Wedge. I appreciate you sending this in. Did I say Wedge? I can't remember.
Yeah, we talked about it with the DVD too. We talked about
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, friends and enemies, I guess. Welcome.
I'm not gonna spend that in one place.
Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. Man, Len, we got a lot to talk about tonight. It's good to see you. Happy Monday. Back to the snow on the ground this morning. Very disappointing. Definitely affected my mood when I woke up. Not gonna lie about that. It's on the grass. I don't know. I'm not getting the snowblower out. I'm not gonna mix any 50 to 1 up, but I'm just telling you that it's not great.
If by 8 o'clock it was melted away over here. I'm not sure if it was the same thing over there. So
Len, it's the principle. It's almost April.
It's
I should be
March.
wearing shorts.
It's March. I'm shocked we haven't got any big snowfall for the month of March. Normally it happens. We haven't, and it looks like we're not going to get one, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But we're going to get an election. This we have started. It's election season here in Canada. So gear up. We'll talk about that in today's show.
I thought my tag was going to be good, the long end of the yield curve, but yours is even better. Breaking news, obviously, Carney refusing to do the French language debate. Did you see Blanchette talking to the press about an hour ago?
No.
Someone asked him if, we'll talk about this, but tension's rising. Someone asked him if he thought Carney was afraid of being able to speak French at the debate, and Blanchette said, what is Carney not afraid of at this point? I keep on hearing that he calls him this guy. He says, I keep hearing this guy is tough enough to take on Trump. He can't even come to Quebec. Oh, man. Sign me up. Blanchette, that's good shit. I heard Carney today, a friend of the show, who's not been on, but I'll have to have him on at some point, Freddie New, UK crypto Bitcoin attorney, said to me today that there's documents about Carney being evicted from his one of his UK apartments for not making rent or not following up on rent or mortgage. And in the document, it lists Carney as, it has like his vitals in the document. He's 5'4", I think he said, 5'4", 5'5", peanut sized. You put him in your pocket.
Well, he's a goalie, right? Back then, goalies were
allegedly Harvard Division I goaltender. So
yes,
how does that make sense?
Well, no, so goalies back in the day, they were not very large, right? Patrick Roy broke the mold in the 80s as being a large goaltender. So typically, Fuhr was 5'10". Fucking Alan Bester, man, was 5 foot nothing, and he started for the Leafs, right?
I'm not a hater. Like, I'm probably 5'9", 5'10" on a good day if I got the right shoes on. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm some giant, but 5'5" on a debate stage with Poilievre, who's doing a cycle. Looks like yesterday he looked huge on stage. Gonna be hard to overcome that, I think.
Have you ever punched in his name just in Google, Pierre Poilievre?
No.
You do that right now.
Sure.
I want to see if you get the same picture I get from him, because the picture that shows up is a Bloomberg photo, and it doesn't look him
walking out with a sad face, kind of
looking.
I
find that to be
it's on purpose.
I find it to be kind of funny when I saw that. Like, and if you type in Mark Carney,
what do you see?
Just his headshot smiling and everything, like typical what you expect.
I hate these people. Like him. I absolutely hate these people.
But the Poilievre one is funny. He's like, what the fuck kind of photo is that? Google, what are you doing?
Insane. Absolutely insane. Well, let's talk about the sponsors, I guess. Like, we got lots.
I don't want to go on.
We're gonna get back to that. We're gonna dance on some thin ice tonight for sure, you and I. So we may as well start with the sponsors. EasyDNS. You can't dance on thin ice without good sponsors, and EasyDNS has been a sponsor of the show, and Mark's been a friend to Len and I for years now. I just sent Mark a picture and posted it online, actually, of my daughter in her bomb thrower onesie. I don't think there's any infant on earth besides my little one who has a bomb thrower onesie. Can't beat it. Mark is the co-founder, I think, or did he buy the company? I forget. EasyDNS is his company. We use it for our website. We are underutilizing EasyDNS as far as like an actual DNS domain hoster provider. But you don't have to. You can use Mark as much as you want, and you can do so at a 50% discount if you use our code. You can go there and use his DNS registrar. You can bring a domain if you have one already, or get one through Mark. DomainSure is a security suite that he uses. We talk about that every week on Access of Easy, the other podcast we do for EasyDNS, and it'll ensure that you're not on the receiving end of a nefarious action from somebody like Lazarus or any of the other oddly named, creatively named hacker groups out there. Not to mention, Len, if you're a Bitcoin enthusiast, BTC Pay server, NAS Relay Bitcoin node, you can do it all over there with the virtual private server suite of options. You can't beat it. We try and make sure that we have the best in silo sponsors. I think we've done that so far with EasyDNS. I don't know if anyone would ever, you can't beat Mark. Mark gives you your money back if you don't like the service. That's pretty rare. Accepts Bitcoin and other crypto. He can't be batting 1,000, but he does accept everything over there. And, we'll never pull your stuff down. I know he's like, you don't have to say that every time, but it is true. Look at the last 10 years we just had where everyone and their brother was getting canceled. If you were on EasyDNS, you would not have been pulled down because Mark would not have allowed it. So go there. CBP Media is the code. Start up a website and tell Mark we sent you, or say hi to him in the chat. Maybe he's here tonight. I don't know. He comes sometimes to the Monday show.
Yeah, he does. It's good to see him when he does show up in the chat. Look, we got a second sponsor, and what are you going to do? You have to buy Bitcoin, right? This is a Bitcoin show. People want to buy Bitcoin. People have to get into Bitcoin. Where are you going to do it? In Canada and in parts of Europe, you could use Bull Bitcoin to do that. And it's wonderful because it's not custodial like a lot of other exchanges. And why I say that is when you do buy from another exchange and they hold onto your Bitcoin, there's a level of risk that comes along with that. If something happens, if the exchange gets hacked, or it could go tits up, then you lost your Bitcoin. Bull Bitcoin doesn't give you the opportunity for this to happen. Once you make your buy, you have to provide an address in order to facilitate the purchase. And this is what you want in exchange, non-custodial. So Bull Bitcoin, you could do it on-chain. Lightning too. Lightning we'll talk a little about today, but on-chain is still relatively cheap. And look at the price right now, 87,000. So it could be a good time to buy. It could be a good time to sell, whatever you think is the best for you. Either way, if it's high, the price of Bitcoin, then why not use that to pay some bills, right? Like use the Bull Bitcoin bill service to pay some outstanding bills you have. And so you're kind of using your Bitcoin as a way to pay off some debt you have. Also, you could buy gift cards with the Bitcoin. If you think the price of Bitcoin is rather high and it's not too high, not too bad. So use that to buy gift cards so you can start spending your Bitcoin indirectly in the real world. So check them out. If you have not yet opened an account, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Open up an account using our referral code below, and you do that, $21 will be added to your account once you provide the necessary information and fund your account. So check them out. That's where I make my buys.
Huge. That's where I make my buys too. You guys ought to do the same. Boost, shall we?
Let's do that. Okay.
Oui, bien.
D's laughs 117 sats. He says testing 1 2 3 because there has been some issues with me getting all the information. I think I got it all now. So yeah. It's 2 hours for Cherry, isn't it?
It's definitely not Don Cheery. He's never been very cheery, that fella. Yeah.
He has in the past.
I gotta remember to tell people. Sometimes I put comments up in the chat, and the audio people are like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" Boomer just said he's gonna tell his grandkids that we were Ron McLean and Don Cherry. Which one of us is Don? That's the question.
I don't know. Top W Cone 250 sats. He writes in. Kentucky requires you to report any gold or silver you own on December 31st and the value at that day. You then have to pay property tax on it. If you sell any, you pay capital gains. And if you buy any, you pay sales tax.
Interesting.
The sales tax is going away in June if the legislators don't change the law. So governments do what they can to make you report your gold buys. I did not know that was the case in some jurisdictions, in Kentucky too.
That's crazy. Yeah. Kind of does make sense. Like, what is gold? It's property, I guess, right? I don't know.
So I think that was a response to a comment which I made because I was saying, look, with Bitcoin, you don't have to report it. Same thing with gold, right? Like, why would you have to report one? You shouldn't have to report the other. So it makes sense. I can't believe that's the case in Kentucky. Either way,
how many people are actually doing that? That's really hard to enforce. There's a lot of de minimis amounts of gold, right? Like if you own a gold chain, do you pay property tax on it? If you own a gold ounce, I don't know. It's hard to track that kind of stuff, especially because of the jewelry use case. Plus, as Peter Schiff always points out, like are you telling people that you have gold fillings, the gold in your computer, the gold in your phone? Like where's the line? I don't know. There must be a line there somewhere. There's more to the story, I'm sure.
Well, Mo BTC Dick writes in 475 sats. He says, because Bitcoiners putting in work, stoked to check out Vexel. And this is in response to an interview that I had with Michael DeGroot on Wednesday last week. And he was talking about Vexel as one of the peer-to-peer services which you could buy and sell Bitcoin. So, yeah.
Mike's been doing good work. Did you download the app? I have the app on my phone. It's pretty slick, I must say.
No, I have not. Have you opened it and tried it out? Somebody has in their chat.
No. I haven't yet, but it does look pretty good. I think once there's a market established for some of these things over here, you'll have a little bit more fun with the P2P apps. And I think, not that this is a problem for Vexel, but I think it has historically been a problem for HODL and Bisq especially, because the people who are using it are they're sophisticated users. I think in a lot of cases, there hasn't been a big push for quality UI, for example. And so, that's a negative, I think, if you're trying to expand the P2P marketplace to people who might just want to buy, guys like, even at our level then, neither of us are using P2P exchanges for the time being. But if the opportunity presented itself and it was something you wanted to do, or you wanted to sell, for example, I don't know if I'd buy P2P, but I could be convinced to sell probably. Why
would you be opt to do one but not the other?
I don't really care who knows if I buy, but I'd rather have plausible deniability if I sell, right?
Certainly,
that's the case. I think I'd.
So I mean, this is going into a discussion we probably shouldn't talk about right now. But if you happen to have Bitcoin and you want to exchange it for fiat, without using exchange, what other options do you have? Peer to peer is like that's really that's it. And so, I mean, if there are people out there using it and there's enough feedback about a particular user, because Bisq does give you the opportunity to provide feedback on users, and so and there's one guy in our chat in our Discord, I forget his name, he talks highly of Bisq.
Yeah,
he does.
Bisq is good. The app is nice. They made a significant improvement, I think it wasn't last year, it's probably 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, to the UI. It's nice. Like, it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not unusable, okay, but it could be better is all I'm saying.
No, Bitcoin itself, period, could be better. The user experience with Bitcoin, it needs work, but you know what? Who cares? It will get done. But anyways, let's move on. Got two more boosts to write. Jer, 5,000 sats. Thank you very much. It says, at Joey, I don't always agree with your takes, but always respect your proof of work. Your segment on the mids barking at us to, quote, buy Canadian and, quote, toughen up, hit the bullseye. I appreciate you both. And he gives a salute.
Salute. I've received a lot of good feedback on that little rant. I didn't love having to give it, but I think a lot of us are probably experiencing similar things to what I'm experiencing when I go places and people tell me I got to have my elbows up and all this other nonsense. Like, what are you really asking me to support here? And I think it's important to remind people what the last few years have been like.
And Michael DeGroot, he's boosted himself. Boosted is the show that he was on. 9,000 sats. Thank you very much. Great episode. Thank you for having me on. And handshake. So appreciate you. And would like to have you back on.
Mike's great. Absolutely. Anytime. If you guys have guests you want to have come on the show, we're happy to take some nominations here. It's my turn on the interviews coming up. Lynn's done a solid job for, I think, 4 weeks now, 3 or 4 weeks.
I might have to go book one or two more. I'm trying to figure it. So I
find out. I'll tell you, me and Cove Wallet developer Praveen will be doing a show Thursday at 6. Len is going to try and make it. You're going to hop onto that? Yeah.
I would like to.
Yeah. You're going to try and make it. I'm going to try and have some sats handy to test the wallet. And I have to remind myself to ask Praveen to get on the test flight, the Apple beta test, because I do want to put it on my phone before the show. Next week, Dave Bradley is going to come by on April 2nd.
Is he number one in terms of the number of appearances?
He's got to be close. You know who's probably up there too, unintentionally, is Carlo Campisi. Boomer's up there for sure as a host, not so much as a guest.
Period. Boomer.
Him, SB probably up there. Yeah. There's a few others. Who are the multiples we've had, right? I mean, Francis has been on 3 times, I think. Who else?
Mario Gibney a couple of times at least.
Gibney, I don't know where that guy is. I'd love to talk to him with all the AI stuff going on.
I chatted with him not too long ago.
How long is not too long?
Half a year ago. We chatted by through an app, and next time I'm in the downtown core, I'm gonna have to link up with him. And
totally tell him I want to talk to him.
And I was downtown very recently, but I had to quick in and out, so I didn't have time to do anything.
That's life. Yeah. But no, so Dave's gonna come on. I told Steve Soretsky I would send him a few times, so I will have him on at some point. But we'll figure it out. Len, you want to do 1 or 2 more? No problem. I'm happy to pick up the slack on that.
You just see the schedule go from there. This is
totally.
And I think that's it before we could dive right in, Joey.
I'm ready. Let's get to it. Yeah.
Well, the Bitcoin will keep kind of short because I think, again, the back half of the show is going to be the longest part, right? Like, I don't think there's a way around it. There's going to be a lot more to talk about there, which is...
I got a request today, Len, from someone who listens to the show that we should do a second podcast that's just like our cultural / political takes. And I don't know. I don't really want to start a new show, but there's demand for it. There seems to be demand. Don't forget, we split the Bitcoin and what used to be called Clown World, now it's called Notable Stories, because people wanted those stories broken up. And now there's even more demand for the back half. But I don't want to be a political show. This is a Bitcoin show. It's a Bitcoin focused show. There's some economic talk, some politics talk. But at the end of the day, the thing that ties us all together really is the corn. So I appreciate the the desire to hear us go back and forth about politics and culture. I'll probably save it for the kitchen table, honestly.
Especially with summer coming up, it's going to be a more challenging day.
Yeah, I don't want to add more to the schedule.
I mean, I love you all, but I want to circle links to more tennis and golf. Yeah. Anyways, let's dive right in, and we'll kind of keep it on the brief side for the Bitcoin stuff. So my apologies. Number one, we'll talk about this strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, announcing more fiat offerings for people out there. Something called Strife, STRF. That is a ticker name. And it's, according to Michael Saylor himself, this is a new perpetual preferred stock offering, and it's available only to institutional investors and select non-institutional investors. So it sounds like retail.
This is the same as STRK, right? That was the same wording.
Kinda. STRK, I believe, has an 8% yield. Where does the yield come from, too?
No, the yield I'm saying, but I more mean the target audience, right? Like this, some or all institutional and some retail, basically, is the way it's worded.
But STRK, could anybody buy that? It's available just for
a lot of people can. Like Mark was telling us, he had it on his Big Six bank brokerage app. It's there on mine as well, but it's not on Wealthsimple, which probably tells you something.
And STRF or Strife, I think that's just going to be only select few are going to be able to take advantage. There's another thing too. It comes with at least a 10% per annum yield on that. Where does the yield come from? This is a question that I would love to find out between STRF and STRK. Each of them have a decent yield. We laugh at DeFi. Could it be DeFi strategy? Is this going to be their new name moving forward? I don't know. But to their credit, they did sell 5 million shares of the Strife, and it looks like they used that to buy quite a bit of Bitcoin today. So this is their MO. They're going to sell whatever, and with the gains from that, they're going to use the majority, if not all the proceeds, to buy Bitcoin, which I think that's a pretty interesting model until it's not able to continue to be done. Eventually, you're going to have to pay back something. Yeah. I just think that they're going to just continually get into debt. That's what that is cheaper for them than what the gains are with the Bitcoin, what they perceive to be the gains, and whatever. It's an interesting strategy for them, for strategy at that. So I just got to say that interesting, but still not available to at least not directly, maybe indirectly. Retail investors could get in. And
what did you say the ticker was? Strife, STRF?
STRF, correct.
I don't have it. I do have Strike, but I don't have Strife.
Yeah, so this is probably the big boys that are able to get in. This is a minimum of 10% yield. Depending on some sort of scenarios and how things work, it could go up from there. So I guess if you're looking for a steady stream of income, if you're going to buy bonds from X nation and get 7-8%, this is a little bit more. Is this safer? It's up to you to decide. But certainly there was a lot of interest in this because they were able to sell 5 million of these shares.
Yeah.
And somebody bought them. Wasn't you, wasn't me, but somebody fucking bought them. And what did they do? They bought Bitcoin with it. So good for strategy for buying Bitcoin. But at least there's a little bit of concern on my part, the yield part. Maybe a lot of concern. I don't know.
This is great from Yoshi on Twitter. I didn't know you could comment on Twitter into the chat, but I'm putting this up on the chat. Maybe they can guarantee 10% because they can keep moving the price by themselves by far more than 10% for now. They've had trouble doing that in the last 3 months, right? Saylor's
what do you mean moving the price themselves? You're talking about the price of Bitcoin?
Yeah, of Bitcoin. So they can just keep using that. Exactly.
And that really impacts the price of their stock. Right?
They're betting big on the price. Like at this point, Saylor is no longer betting on the tech, right? He's no longer betting on this thing being independence money, freedom money, whatever you want to call it. He's betting on the price going up, and he's betting big on it, like hundreds of billions of dollars probably in terms of the actual value of the stuff that it would cost him if he went under.
Not him.
Yeah,
whose
the
money
company,
is it
whatever.
really?
Yeah, it's someone else's. Yeah,
it's people that buy into this, right? If somebody has one share or more of MicroStrategy, or they have STRK or STRF, they're the ones that are going to be impacted from this.
Yeah. And what's the old saying, right? For people who are taking the debt from MicroStrategy, if MicroStrategy owes you $100, it's your problem or their problem. If they owe you 100 million, it's your problem. And so this is a law of large numbers type thing here. We'll see what happens with this, but yeah, the other thing I still don't really understand. I've been a MicroStrategy bull for a long time. I still think that stock is going to hit $1,000 sometime in the next year or two. Fine. But again, like you're playing dangerous games, and Yoshi also mentioned that perpetuals, like the perp swaps, these are not sound instruments. And so if you want to play something high beta to Bitcoin, I would say MSTR is like as far as you should go. There's no need to get into this yield stuff. There's no need to get into STRF. There's no need to get into, all this. It's dicey. It's getting more dicey by the day. And if the price doesn't move on, $500 million of buys, what did he buy today? 500 million, something like that.
Something, I don't know the exact number, but I remember
the price is not really moving that much, 1 or 2 points on 500 million. And by the way, that includes good tariff news. That includes the Fed moving toward quantitative easing. That includes what's his name there? Bostic, Raf Bostic saying this thing inflation is going to come down to 2% until 2027. Like all these things are good for Bitcoin usually. And to see the price move 2 points in addition to getting the MSTR buy or the STRF, buy, whatever you want to call it, not great. I would say that this is getting to be maybe not precarious, but it's definitely getting to be a little bit dicey. I just want to note as well, I just looked at my TD app to check if I could get these STRFs. You know what TD charges for a stock trade?
$15.
$10. You buy more than one share, it's $10 flat rate. Crazy. That's nuts, man. You can get free trading anywhere in the world, and these guys are still charging $10. They're toast. Banks are fucked.
In many ways, but yet people still use their services. They're not valued at what they are because people are shying from them. People are happily parking their money, myself included, right? Like my paycheck doesn't come to me in cash.
Yeah,
it gets deposited, right? And I'll try to buy Bitcoin with that, but still I have to use their services. I don't use their I have to say this, I haven't bought a fucking share on anything in fucking years. I'm not in any like maybe CBP may be doing it on my behalf, but I'm not fucking directly doing it. So right, like somebody's doing it for me, but I have no say to that either way. The SBR, we should talk a little bit more about that, the strategic Bitcoin reserve, because there's how they're going to be able to get Bitcoin, accumulate Bitcoin. People should look at Bhutan, especially the people looking at managing the SBR, as potentially one way to do this, because they have established a great way. I'm talking about Bhutan for the time being, at the very least, that they have been able to get Bitcoin, and they've been using this as a sovereign nation, Bitcoin mining, and they're using surplus electricity that they would normally sell at a discount to their neighboring countries, and they're using that instead to monetizing that and buying Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, and they've been mining this for several years. And all this time, they've accumulated around 11,000 Bitcoin. And that's about 1 billion USD. These are round numbers I'm giving, which is a decent amount, 11,000 Bitcoin for the country of Bhutan. I took a little bit more into more in-depth analysis into this. Bhutan's GDP, the last information I saw from Google was from 2022. So things have changed since then. But at that time, it was around 3 billion USD was their domestic GDP. 3,700 USDT per capita. So $3,700 per capita. So that's if you want to just use that metric, because it seems to be a better metric. So in terms of the Bitcoin they got, it's around 1,700 Bitcoin, $1,700 per person from Bitcoin that they hold. So it's 0.02 Bitcoin per person, around $1,700. So it's nearly about half as much Bitcoin per person as they have as a GDP. So, and this is what they've been able to accumulate just freely, just for using excess electricity, which makes sense. So it's a very efficient way, at least for the time being, to mine Bitcoin. Every 4 years there's a halving, so it gets harder and harder to mine Bitcoin. Plus there's more and more equipment being added to the network, and the self-adjustment makes it harder to mine Bitcoin over time. But still, it works for them. So going back to the SBR, they should look at the opportunity of using excess electricity to mine Bitcoin. They're not going to sell their excess electricity to neighboring countries, right? Like look at Canada and Mexico. If anything, the Times are saying they're probably not going to deal with them for the most part. So anything extra they have, they'll probably keep for themselves. So what the fuck are you going to do with it? Mine Bitcoin. It only makes so much sense. There's only so much they could store. So, and in terms of the states that have excess electricity, there's a few of them: Wyoming, North Dakota, West Virginia, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Texas, Montana. That's a lot of a lot of states, and they have excess, and there's states that don't have it. They have to import it, like California, large state that needs it, Virginia, right. Ohio, Massachusetts. So yeah, but it's not like you could easily transport that electricity from one place to another if it's long distance. It's just going to be like a lot of loss through transmission and transporting. So it only makes sense to just use it locally and mine Bitcoin. That makes sense for the SBR to me. Even Pakistan, I mean, I could go a little bit further here. Their central bank is saying they're exploring the opportunity of mining Bitcoin with excess electricity because they have frequent times where they have too much electricity. Makes sense. They've been putting up a large number of coal-fired power plants, including wind and solar farms. Good for them. Let's make use of that. So this is what's going to happen moving forward. The SBR, I think, should look into this.
Do you think they're going to?
Probably not.
It's like zero chance. Chance.
What options do they have?
What I think is more likely. Let's assume that guys like Besant and Lutnick, who both understand Bitcoin, let's presume they understand mining. Okay. Let's presume they understand energy, and let's presume they understand all this stuff about excess power and going, to Bitcoin mining and why it makes sense. Blah blah blah. They'll never do it, but what they could do is reward companies that do by buying shares in those companies using this new sovereign wealth fund. It's good for Americans, it's good for American companies, and it's good for the strategic reserve. The bigger question for me is, do you want the government either mining on their own or owning companies that mine with the expectation that they're going to give some of the mined proceeds to the strategic reserve? I don't think you want that. I think you would prefer if energy and commodities go to the people first and to private industry first.
Yes.
And then those people get to decide what they do with it and are rewarded in the marketplace, the equity market, the movement of capital, whatever. That's what you want. And so when people say they want the government to look into this stuff, I think what I would really prefer is that second scenario. So are they going to do either one? I don't know. But I could see the sovereign wealth fund investing in companies that mine Bitcoin. One, because I think the guys get it, like I said. But the other thing, Len, I think you're probably right in that there's only so much longer you can go without doing this for. So you're going to be investing in these companies. If you're buying S&P index funds, you're going to be buying, ExxonMobil that's doing this stuff. If you're trying to support domestic oil and gas because of the trade war, if it keeps up, all this stuff is going to require capital to flow into these companies, and the companies are going to do the right thing. And if we think the right thing is Bitcoin, then they'll get exposure, and that's how they'll wind up getting it.
And if a government mines Bitcoin, is it a negative, a positive, neutral?
I don't know. It's positive for the price. Like if the government comes out, in a month or a year or whatever and says, yeah, we're setting up a warehouse of miners, one of the data centers we're building is going to be a Bitcoin miner, then yeah, that's a 20% day for Bitcoin. But if the company like Exxon, who's mining, I think Exxon was running a pilot scale operation a few years ago. They may still be running it, but
all of them were probably running something. There's no fucking chance.
So let's say one of them is actually now willing to go the extra step and say, yeah, we're going to establish some behind the meter minimal mining operation. Let's say, okay, it's going to be, one warehouse of S21 Ultras, submerged in olive oil, whatever the hell these guys are doing now. And that's good for Bitcoin. And, that may be another strong indicator. If the government decides they want to buy that company in the wealth fund, the sovereign wealth fund, then that's strong too. I don't think that's a 20% day. If the government comes out and behind the the desk in the Oval says anything about we're mining Bitcoin, we're buying Bitcoin, we're doing whatever, it's huge. Anything else like a secondary exposure, tertiary exposure, whatever, that's good. But we don't need that. Like Bitcoin enthusiasts and maxis, like we're already pretty sure it's going to happen. It doesn't affect my conviction. What would affect my conviction would be the government saying that they're going to mine. That would be significant.
It'd be interesting. But it changes nothing for me in terms of my level of conviction. Really, it's just you're parlaying excess electricity into what? Potentially getting Bitcoin through mining. Anybody could do that, right? Yeah. If you want to set up a power plant, you harvest the power of the sun or the wind and start using that to mine Bitcoin, you have every opportunity to do that. So if a country wants to do that,
the other thing too, though, like corporate mining in America is way, far and above anything you see anywhere else in the world. And as we know, if the USA gets, a hold of a payment system or a monetary system, what happens? They do censor, they do pressure to censor, they do pressure to remove. So you get that risk too, right? There's a lot at stake here when it comes to mining, thanks to the mechanisms, but it's not necessarily.
Are you talking about censoring transactions specifically?
Yeah.
So that's a good segue to the next topic, which would be Stratum V2, right? And there's the first Stratum V2 pool may be coming very soon. It's called Demand Pool, DMND. Demand pool. And for now, they're trying to attract people to come in or miners to come in. You have to apply to get approved. And if you are, it's going to be 0% fee for the first 2 months. So I'm assuming it's likely going to be big miners that are going to be first enabled to use their pool. None of us garage miners using bid axes will probably be unable to get in. But what do I know? For Stratum V2, though, what this does, it enables you to build your own blocks, the individual miner to build your own blocks. And that's what gets around the whole censorship thing. Is right now, if you join a pool, pick a pool, any pool, the block is built by the pool manager or whoever's administering the pool themselves. You're just providing hash power and somebody else is building the block. They're adding whatever transactions they want into that block that's being built. With Stratum V2, the individual miner has the opportunity to do it. So that takes away that whole censorship thing. So it decentralizes mining in a big way. Furthermore, it increases security because there's end-to-end encryption built into this, and it prevents something called a man-in-the-middle of attack. Yeah. So, and furthermore, it optimizes data transfers, so it makes things more efficient between the miners and the pool itself. And furthermore, the last thing that Demand is doing, they're trying to put out this new payment system called Slice. I don't know much about it, but apparently it's going to maximize miner payouts with no hidden fees. Let's see if it works. But what you should be looking at more specifically here is Stratum V2. We don't have any yet. The closest we have to something like this is Ocean's Datum. And so we have now Stratum V2. It's been a long time coming, and finally we have one. I'm not sure what the technical hurdles, if there's any, still exist, but this is what we need with respect to mining moving forward, because this will take away any pressures from it saying it's centralized and there could be censored transactions. This is the best thing for us.
Okay, question for you. Where is the hash rate going to come from to populate this pool?
Initially?
Yeah.
Like I say, it says it's 0% fees for the first 2 months. So any miner out there that is mining with a pool and is paying more than zero, probably will put a little bit over here, give it a shot and see what the payout is. Plus, including that new Slice payment system, I think they would like to see how it works in the end. If it's more profitable to do it like this than use, say, F2 pool or something else, then certainly they're going to move all their hash power to this. So it could be from anywhere. It could be from one of the big miners, publicly traded or not. Not a lot. They'll send us some of their hash power over. That's my guess.
Yeah, like a half migration or something.
Maybe like a tenth or 100th.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like something really small, right? I don't know. This is mining now. Pools specifically are becoming inescapable because of network effect, right? So, like, no one's leaving the brains pool for this just because of the anti-censorship features. I don't think.
Why not?
I just don't see it happening because you're significantly lowering the chance that you hit a block. So even with the no fees, with all the other stuff, like you're mining at the end of the day, let's face it, to do one thing, and it's try and hit that block, right? And it's cool if it has a CBP logo on it or looks cool in your garage, but that's what you're trying to do. And those pools, they're just not going to shed hash on the basis of virtue. At least I don't think they will. And the corporate miners, the big corporate miners don't enter into public pools. They're running their own pools.
No.
So what?
No.
Like which big public miner is not running its own pool.
None of them. If you go look at mempool.space, you could kind of see all the pools out there. And no, Mara is the only one that Marathon, they run their own.
Marathon has their own. What's
DMG
F2 pool? I'm going to go look right now.
DMG blockchain runs their own mining pool, I believe. Very small.
I'm going right now.
So no, they're all just attaching to somebody else.
Oh my god! I typed in mempool.space. What's this woman doing on my screen?
And
I should have made that my tag. Your wife loves my mempool. Yeah, Luxor. That's okay. That's not its own. Ampool is its own.
F2 pool.
Foundry USA is its own. F2. What else here? SEC pool. I don't even know what that one is. Via BTC, presumably a public pool. Marathon is its own. Binance is its own.
These are all public. These are all like you just join in. Somebody's running it, and it's not like it's administered by.
Okay, what's the better way to put this? The better way to put it is if you jump into a pleb pool, let's say, compared to a corporate pool, is maybe what I should have said.
What's a pleb pool versus a corporate pool?
Like a pleb pool would be like I don't know. Let me go look here. Like
these are all pleb pools. Everybody's joining in.
Yeah, but is it fair to say that like F2 pool is more of a pleb pool than Mara pool?
It's Chinese. So F2 pool is certainly Chinese. F2 pool has censored transactions in the past,
right?
As per OFAC instructions.
Yeah, OFAC. Yeah, we talked about that.
Marathon's a publicly traded company, so they're going to bow down to any sort of regulations that's been passed on.
That's what I mean. Like there's corpo pools and there's pleb pools. Let's say that's the distinction.
Oh yeah, Brains will probably be more of a pleb, I'm guessing.
Right. So what I'm asking is like, what's the motive for? There's no motive for a corpo pool hasher to jump, even individual hasher. What's the motive for the pleb individual hasher to jump?
They could build their own thing, their own block.
I don't think it's enough.
It doesn't matter. It's infrequent. If you join F2 pool, you're still going to get more payouts, but just a smaller slice because you have a large
more people. Yeah.
Right. Versus a smaller pool, you'll get less payouts, less frequent payouts, but larger payouts because you're going to be providing a large amount of hash comparatively to the overall network. So the only one that seems to buck the trend, and Bob Burnett has talked about this quite a bit on Twitter or X.
Bob Burnett, also a candidate for most appearances on this show, I think.
Yeah, I got to bring him back on.
Yeah, he's been on a bunch. Yeah,
and he's mentioned that for whatever reason, Ocean gives him the most revenue. Like he gets the most out of.
He's in the sweet spot there. Yeah, the less payouts but bigger payouts, right?
Either or, he's getting just more compared to others. So for whatever reason, Ocean, their setup. Maybe they're more lucky, or maybe there's something more to it. It's more profitable for him to point his hash rate towards Ocean and another pool. And he's written about this extensively, so somebody can just check it out if they want.
So some debate in the chat here. Tore up saying people are lazy. Yoshi disagrees. People will leave. I'm not sure where I come down, but we're gonna find out because everything's transparent. So we're a couple months away here from seeing some trends starting. One
thing about this though, I'm talking about the demand pool. They raised capital funding, so venture capital investments was done in order to help facilitate this. So they're going to obviously be subservient to the people that lent them money. That could be the one thing here that may be problematic. But if the miners themselves are building their own blocks, I don't know. I got to see this play out before I think this is a negative or a positive. It just
Early days. We don't have to have it a conclusion yet.
Yeah. Remember back October, I think, last year, HBO ran that documentary.
Who is Satoshi?
Electric Money, whatever the fuck it was called.
No, wasn't HBO the guys who tried to find Satoshi?
That was it. It was Electric Money.
Is that the title of it was? Yeah.
They pinned it on Peter Todd as being... Yeah. So shitcoiners are now going to get a bone thrown to them, because Apple TV and Prime TV plan to premiere on April 15th, so just 3 weeks from now, give or take, something called Vitalik, the Ethereum story. And I'm wondering, you listened to Bankless, did they talk about this at all? Because they must have been just jizzing all over this fucking
I haven't
story.
Listened to Bankless in a while, but as I usually do Mondays, I pulled it up just to see if I was missing anything. Hilarious titles the last few episodes. The Friday review episode they always do. Ethereum's leadership move, Solana's inflation debate, and crypto's macro struggle. I don't know if crypto doesn't seem to be having the same problems that Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not having any problems at all. And then today, Ethereum's next big upgrade, Pectra, Fusaka, and beyond. What the fuck is going on?
Names
over there?
they put for these things are just I love it.
Why don't you worry about fucking 3K instead of fucking Fusaka, or maybe getting to a new all-time high before you worry about these other fucking upgrades? You know, like you're down at 2000, you're at 2015 levels or whatever the fuck.
Comparative,
give me a break, man.
Bitcoin, it's taken a beating. And,
oh my god, deserved by the way. Like they're the fucking thing. Ultrasound money going the wrong direction now. They have more emissions than Bitcoin does again. You have people like Meltem Demiror, who's like the ultimate, 6 out of 10 on the hot scale grifter, taking advantage of all these fucking soy boy losers who have never seen a woman in real life before, going to these conferences and getting sold every fucking snake oil and elixir that she can possibly peddle to a crowd of fucking idiots. Now talking about, the proof of, what is it? The proof of stake merge? Was that the merge, right? Or the purge or the splurge? Whatever it was, right? Yeah. It was a mistake. We should have gone back. Like, you guys are so fucking dumb.
Yeah. Well, that camp. Are you going to be watching this documentary? Apparently,
100% I'm going to watch it. I'm having a viewing party. Yeah, I'm inviting you. You coming over? I'll make some popcorn. I've been seeing some good YouTube shorts on how to make homemade popcorn. Maybe I'll throw some on the stove.
It's on a Tuesday. I'll pass. Yeah. Apparently, it's going to be talking about, chronicling his tech vision and the Ethereum community.
Are they going to have him dancing in the fucking rabbit suit? Like, how much are they going to document?
Oh my god!
Picking his nose and eating it in the crowd at.
Oh my god,
permissionless or whatever. Is that going to be on there? Where do we stop?
Are they talking about
him saying that child porn has no victims?
Oh my god, yeah.
He's a fucking clown. Like, I hope to go into all that stuff.
But with all this being said, we can't overlook the fact that they rolled back the blockchain. Remember, okay, guys, you can stop trading.
Stop trading.
Yeah. So it is centralized. I don't know why they would invest any time and effort into it, but I guess there's enough shitcoiners out there that's gonna lap this video up and enjoy it. So good on you. I'm not gonna. I didn't watch the one on Satoshi. So why would I even bother watching this one?
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I probably will watch this though, to be honest with you. I listen to Bankless every so often, so what's another hour of my time? I'll get on the recumbent bike or the spin bike, I should say, and just watch it.
Did you see that Tales from the Crypt? They posted something interesting about the Lightning Network and
TFTC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they they got a cease and desist. They call themselves Truth for the Commoner now. Tales from the Crypt is an old
TV show.
Nickelodeon show, yeah.
And
so they got big enough that they got a cease and desist.
Crypt Master.
Yeah,
I used to watch that.
Yeah, awesome show.
Yeah, this is like the early '90s.
I know,
maybe late '80s.
It was on TV when I was a young lad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I didn't realize that there was a TFTC. Then I apologize.
Sorry, Nickelodeon. Don't send us anything.
Yeah, fuck you, guy. So it was. The post that they put on there was mentioning that the transaction volume of the Lightning Network has been growing quite a bit. In August of 2023, so just less than 2 years ago, the volume totaled for the month of August only 12 million. And a little bit over a year later, in November 2024, it reached 285 million. That's a huge difference. And I'm wondering, too, how much of this can be attributed to Zaps on Nostr, because I think a lot of people are just sending small amounts of Bitcoin for posts that they like or just things that they like in general. And I'm wondering how much of this is being contributed to 285 million just for the month of November of 2024. And also another thing to consider too is the number of exchanges that have allowed people to buy using Lightning. And if you look at it, it goes up. Like, I have a little chart here, and it's just every year there's more and more exchanges that get on board, including Bull Bitcoin. You can buy through Lightning with Bull Bitcoin, but Lightning, it works in great for high fee environments, but really it does have its challenges. The scalability to all 8 billion people, or how many are in it, it doesn't work right now. So But for right now, it seems to be working. There are limitations, but it is successful for what is being used right now. I know that the UX in it is challenging, like managing liquidity,
Definitely.
channels.
Yeah, channel management's like a huge hurdle for people.
It really is. But once you figure it out, then it becomes not easy, but at least you are your own bank, especially when it comes to Lightning, right? Because then you are then hosting everything and it's all in-house. So yeah, I just looked at this and I didn't realize that the amount of transactions on Lightning has spiked that much in a short period of time.
Good or bad for long-term network longevity that Lightning is absorbing transaction fees?
I think it's good overall. I think it's negligible. Like I don't think it's measurable.
Yeah,
in terms of what it's doing right now.
Well,
but
maybe it is measurable. Like fees are super low, right? Like what are they?
Yeah,
they're still like a couple sats a V-byte, whatever it is.
I'm wondering how much it has to do with just an ETF being available, and if people want exposure to it, they don't want to deal with buying it through an exchange and holding it on their like using their own node or their own cold card or whatever. I'm just wondering what the fuck. I think the ETFs are taking a lot of the load, for better or for worse.
The replacement fees right now, like RBF is 7 sats per V-byte. That's super low.
Yeah, is cheap.
That's like what, 60 cents, 70 cents?
We didn't talk about, I don't know if you do want to talk about, is I gave you something. I gave you a piece of hardware.
It's shit. Len bought me a computer off some geezer on Kijiji or whatever and put a node on there for me and started syncing it on Start OS. It's all unusable. It is completely archaic. The OS is in a fucking browser window. You have to clear the cache and the cache in the browser constantly needs to be cleared, because if you don't clear it, then the Bitcoin thing won't run. If the Bitcoin thing's not running, you can't sync the node. It's just like it's impossibly annoying. It's not difficult. It's annoying.
That's Start OS. Pick something else.
So I'm gonna buy a Ronin Dojo or something. Just spend a couple $100 on the thing. Just sits on my desk and looks cool.
I don't get it, Joey. People have spent weeks trying to sync their node on, say, a Raspberry Pi 3. You can do it. Just go through the process. It's not instant gratification.
But it's not. But the problem is that I can't just wait. The problem is that I can't wait. The problem is when I wait, I go to the laptop to see what's happening, and the thing isn't running because the cache in the browser needs to be cleared. And then it's like it has problems with the syncing. It has to like reattempt the sync over and over again. And so it'd be fine if it was like working AFK, but it's not. That's the problem.
See, Paulie's right. Like you just need I didn't want to give him Linux. I put on Start OS. I thought it was going to be the easiest, and I just gave him this.
I'm gonna have to get Ubuntu now on a thumb drive.
Yeah, or Mint. That's generally considered very easy to give Mint a shot, and then you could run Knots, and you're rocking and rolling. And then you know what, people? Then there's nothing to say about Joey not running a node. He's almost there. When I gave him this,
I just want to note that Len is doing this as a service to me. But all you guys chirping me in chats and Discords and Twitter, fuck you. I don't care what you think. If I don't want to run the node, I'm not going to run it. If Len didn't buy this for me, I wouldn't wake up in cold sweats thinking, oh my God, the CBP chat's telling me I got to run a node. Absolutely. I don't have to do anything. I am my own man. I can do whatever I want. I can run a node or I cannot run a node. Anything I want to do, I can do it. That's how life is. That's how, for friends and for enemies. If I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. That's all there is to it.
And no, Paulie's right. Like I should have just loaded it with Linux.
Why didn't you buy me a nice $2,000 Start 9 kit? What happened? Like, come on. What are friends for here?
The machine I have literally 2 feet from me is a 15-plus-year-old laptop. The thing is fucking ancient. I upgraded the RAM. I upgraded the storage, and it runs it fine. It's running Debian, albeit a little slow, but on it just fucking does the syncing of the Bitcoin Core. I know I'm not running Knots. I don't give a fuck. I'm happy with Core.
Yeah.
And it works for me. If that 15-year-old piece of shit laptop could fucking do it for me, people run it on Raspberry Pi 3s, and those are severely underpowered. It takes weeks to fucking sync. And you know the problem syncing now? The syncing takes forever. The last little bit.
Fuck, it's like impossibly slow. Yeah.
And it's because of this spam that took place. And that is it. If you look at when the slowdown happens, it happens somewhere around 2003-ish, I guess. Up until then, it breezes. Like, it's a relatively quick process. Then as soon as you fucking get to the spam, it slows down. So that's a real world problem of what happens with the spam. It's funny and blah, blah, blah. But the IBD takes forever as a result, especially when you have underpowered equipment. All you really need is time and patience. And once it's done, it's done.
I'm looking up right now. What was the name of that? The Ronin Dojo? Is that what it was called?
You have the piece of equipment. You don't need to fucking change it. Just fucking install, sit back and relax. Put the mint on there and then enjoy. Yeah, it's gonna work.
I'll
hardwire it too. Don't deal with the Wi-Fi bullshit.
My Wi-Fi is faster than the write speed, so I did hardwire for a bit. It's the write speed's the hang up, not the connection.
Yeah. So if you want to make it even faster, you change it to a solid state drive, because it's one of the old school platter drives. Mm-hmm. But if you don't give a shit, if you got time, I can let it do its thing. For people out there, $60 is what I paid. 12 GB RAM, 1 terabyte drive for $60.
And the guy you bought it from did not have a cell phone.
He did not. What an interesting guy. I had a chat with him after, because he did not. He's an older guy from Moldova, right? And so we were chatting about back in the day, under the Communist Party rule and so forth. So he didn't need it. He didn't need a cell phone. From where he came from, it's just not needed for him. And
God bless him. God bless him. Yeah.
Joey, let's fucking end this, because we have a lot.
We went normal time here. We got problems.
No, we normally go a little bit longer. I have shit to talk about. We all have shit to talk about.
Sure. Come back if you're on audio for tomorrow's show, where we talk about King Carney and his upcoming battle with Pierre in the Canadian election. Long overdue, in my opinion. But if you're anywhere else, stay tuned. We're not going anywhere.
And don't be a cock.
Okay, so
and Joey, I don't call people a cuck if they're no fucking they don't have Bitcoin or this or that. It's not. It's the mentality. We could talk about cuck mentality today. In fact, it's not owning Bitcoin. It's not understanding what Bitcoin. It's not being a no coiner, pre-coiner, or whatever the fuck it is. It's something more than that. And this all stemmed from, I called somebody out in a public forum, and I was able to provide proof that he was asking for shit from me, and I provided it, and then he fucking immediately cuts me off, blocks me, and deletes my posts because he had authority in that chat room.
Funny,
that's cuck material, right? Like when you've been given proof, and so that's where all that comes from. Like, you don't be a cuck. Don't fucking act like a cuck. If somebody calls you out, fucking stand your ground and fucking fight. If you lose, you lose. That's fine. Don't fucking just wave a magic sword and kick somebody off a fucking room. That's bullshit. That's cuck material.
Agreed. Yeah. So, Carney, election, Pierre, did you watch the speeches? Did you watch, what do you think? Where do you want to start?
Yeah, well, let's talk right over Canada. As of yesterday noon, I wanted to watch him go to the Governor General, because I didn't. I was at some event with my family. We're in an election. We have the shortest period of time for an election. They opted for the 37-day, whatever the fuck it is.
It's tight. It's even tighter than that. It's on the 28th of April. So
It's the shortest you could have it.
Yeah.
It's by design. And funny enough, 2015 was the longest one. And that was to the detriment of Harper. The longer the election for him, that one didn't help him out. They're going for short. They're trying to strike this while the iron is hot. Chandra's riding. He's taking over Chandra's riding.
That's unbelievable, that story.
There's a lot to that story that I don't know. A lot of speculation.
It's not a speculation. Like, we were talking about this with Mark on the weekend. We talked about it, I think, like 4 weeks ago, whenever Chandra got booted from the leadership race, that we found this post that everyone is now caught onto about his son working for Brookfield overseas with a cushy, I don't think quite C-suite, but close position. Certainly something you can hang your hat on and live a good life on the back of. And it's interesting that Chandra gave up his seat, right? So I said,
he didn't give up his seat.
Yeah, I said gave up. He didn't really give it up, did he? That's not really what happened.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I don't know how much of an influence did the CEO of Brookfield have with the hiring and keeping on of Chandra's son. I don't know. Probably nil. Probably a lot. There's a lot I just don't know. Yeah. Speculation is through the roof.
It's just not good. It's not good, right? Like, this goes back to. So let's talk a bit about Carney one more time and the connections and just the sort of like willful ignorance, or like the ignorance that the Liberal Party hopes that you have maybe about this whole thing. Chandra Arya is the first bit. Again, we're speculating a little bit because we don't know the exact details. And as Mark points out in the chat, we're talking like 2016 as a start date for this young fella who's the CFO of Brookfield India, according to Mark. We don't know for sure, but we're guessing here. You could have picked anybody to run the party, and instead you picked the guy who has this connection to the candidate who you need to remove because he garnered such a huge groundswell of support basically all of a sudden on a Sunday afternoon and was booted over it, right? So like, you could have picked anyone else. You picked Carney. You had to deal with that. I was doing a little digging the other day, and I'll share the research with you guys because I care about you. We all love each other here at the CBP, and I want to make sure everyone's well informed. Mark Carney appointed a guy named Mark Wiseman to his cabinet, not cabinet, but like his advisors, basically, you know, this sort of Jerry Butts adjacent role. I'm guiding policy. I'm guiding campaign strategy. I'm guiding the party. Mark Wiseman is a guy who is the co-founder of the Century Initiative, Len. We've talked about the Century Initiative on the show a few times. The Century Initiative is this lobby group, I would call it, consulting group, lobby group, something like that, that's worked with the Liberal government over the years and worked with, you know, corporations, NGOs, I'm sure. They want to push the population of Canada to 100 million people by the year 2100. So we're at about 40 now, if you believe the numbers. They want to more than double it over the next 60 years. By the way, no mention of integration, no mention of housing, healthcare, any of these things. It's all about birth rates, pensions, things like that. Now, this would be interesting on its own, okay? And it's, again, you know, Mark Carney with these insider connections. Could have picked anybody, but you picked a guy who's going to have connections with the Century Initiative, and that's fine. You can do that, but people are going to start to ask questions, and certainly I'm sure the Conservatives are doing this behind closed doors. And we'll start to be, you know, doing it publicly in the next few weeks, if not sooner. You know, why is this important? Why did he pick this guy, and what other connections does this guy have? You know, Mark Wiseman co-founded the Century Initiative with who? Len, do you know? Dominic Barton, who's also in the advisory council, right?
And no relation to Rosemary.
And you know where else Dominic Barton worked, Len?
Eurasia
Group with Carney's wife, all together, right? Say it with me, friends. Could have picked anyone else, but instead you picked this guy. Now, the interesting thing that no one's talking about with Wiseman, and we've talked about CPPIB here a few times about the questions we have about how well-funded this is and what it means to be well-funded. You know what Wiseman was doing before he founded the Century Initiative? He was the leader of the CPPIB. So you got a guy in Carney who worked for two central banks, one of them Canadian, one of them UK, similar-ish systems, I guess, in terms of financial markets, one obviously much larger, but the ideals are the same. You got a guy in Wiseman who was the leader of the CPPIB for 5 years, underperformed, by the way, in all of those years, I'm pretty sure. I have to go back to the year-by-year data, but underperformed. Certainly underperformed the benchmark portfolio, which we'll talk about in a second. These guys both deciding that they have to run for public office, and their mission is basically, we have to bring in 100 million people to the country. Why? Like, why did the guy who's running the pension decide all of a sudden that 100 million people is a solution to whatever problem he's seeing on the financial side? I don't think it's just about wage suppression. I actually think that the pension is not well funded, and they know that. But I want to also add that, you know, in terms of shrinking the public service, shrinking bloat and things like that, Carney talking about this, obviously, he's full of shit. You know, this little bite-sized fella spewing sound bites, trying to compel reporters to stop asking him difficult questions. They're only going to get harder, and they should. The reason I know that he's full of shit on shrinking bloat is because Wiseman was the person at the CPPIB who expanded their quote-unquote expert and management operation to the tune of, I think the most recent numbers is they spend something like $4 billion every year on what I would call expertise and global presence. So the CPPIB, for a guy who's going to shrink bloat, okay, brings on Wiseman. Wiseman oversaw the CPPIB while they continued their expansion all over the world to places like, they didn't expand to Kingston and Wisconsin, Len. They established headquarters and buildings in places like New York, London, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, all the most expensive.
And $300 million spent on a lavish office, apparently, in Toronto.
So what they're saying is that office is actually smaller. So they're shrinking the office, but really it's going to be much more lavish, as you mentioned. I'm glad you pulled that up. So this guy was.
This is Toronto Star's words, not mine. Lavish.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. And on top of that, this guy was one of the catalysts or one of the catalyzers of a change in the way the CPPIB measures performance. Talk about moving the goalposts. This is important because this guy is going to be advising the potential prime minister, the prime minister right now, unelected, appointed, king made, whatever. This guy decided when he was in the CPPIB at the helm of the CPPIB, what he was going to do is change the way, or try to change the way the CPP measured performance. The CPP basically does two things, right? They invest, they're an active manager. They became an active manager in 2006. And instead of comparing themselves to the index, because that would be too hard, they compare themselves to a model passive portfolio that they put together. So they're setting the bar for themselves, the expectations, and then trying to beat it every year. Here's the thing. They don't. In the 18 years they've been actively managing, the best outcome you could interpret from their numbers is a tie. So they're paying all the overhead, all the expertise, they're bringing in the money managers. In my opinion, speculation here on my part, but when you bring in active managers, what you're going to get are active managers buying stake in companies that they can get rich on the back end or in their own portfolios or whatever. Like, it's your money that's going to this stuff. And this is what they're doing. Instead of shrinking the expert class that they brought in, saving the taxpayer money, saving you money, it's your money. CPPIB is your money. Instead of saving you money, you know what they're doing, Len, in the face of this underperformance? They're changing the benchmark. They are changing the benchmark. So this year, for the first time, we'll have a new benchmark for the CPPIB since the 2006 move to manage money. I say all this not to upset you, but to only to point out that the people who are telling you they know how to manage money are the people who have proven to be some of the least competent big-time money managers of the last 100 years. Carney ruined not one, but two countries' financial situations. Wiseman was ahead of the CPPIB while they underperformed a benchmark that they established for themselves, all while spending extra money on staff and bloat and expertise. Not to mention, Len, they also spend close to $1 billion on external experts every 5 or 6 years. So it's something like $150 million a year. You can see all this in the actuarial report. It's on the CPPIB's website. It's a little dense, but you can do it. Just Control F for the terms you want and go from there. You'll find it. The people who are telling you they're going to control spending and get things back to where they should be have never done it. And arguably, especially at the CPPIB level, it's so easy. You just have to buy the index. We did it for 50 years and it was fine.
Just had to buy Bitcoin. That was it. That was the simplest fucking move. One person could fucking make that move.
Let's meet them where they Let's meet them where they are, right? Let's meet them where they are. They have a responsibility to the people of Canada, and that responsibility right now does not include Bitcoin, nor should it, in my opinion. But the idea that these guys are going to get spending under control is completely backwards. It's actually like a crazy thing to say that they're going to get it under control when they've never even come close anywhere they've been. And so when people ask, when they say to you, at Easter or whatever, right? I guess Easter will be right after the election. Wow, I can't believe Carney didn't win. You should have the ammunition that we have given you on this show, whether it was the rant a few weeks ago about what it means to buy Canadian, whether it's the stuff about Carney and the Eurasia Group and his wife and the contracts, whether it's the stuff about Wiseman and Butts and the Century Initiative and the CPPIB. It's all there for you. You're never going to see it on CTV. Evan fucking Solomon, in between brokering under the table art deals, okay, is never going to say this to you. And I'll leave it on this. If you want to know what kind of ethics the party and the man follow and think that need to be followed, okay, you can agree or disagree with the Solomon art thing, but the CBC fired Evan Solomon over the art thing. He brokered a deal to someone else over a guest that he had on Power and Politics In 2016, who was the guy he sold the art to, Len?
It was MC, right?
It was Mark fucking Carney. And so, like, again, they could have picked anyone. And this is the guy they went with. They don't care about the things they're telling you they care about. It is right there in front of you to see. It's plain as day. Everywhere you look. You should be sharing this with people. It's important. The country is in a place that it can't afford another 8 years, 10 years, whatever, of whatever the fuck we're doing now. And we got to do what you can to stop it. And I continue to say, if you have
vote
a
harder,
platform,
Joey. Vote fucking harder.
Well, I think, like I don't know. I gave this rant in the group chat we're in the other day, but like the idea that Bitcoiners think that you can just ignore this.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I totally disagree. I think it's wrong. Yeah, I think it's wrong. I don't. I think Bitcoiners don't understand. Like Carney tweeting out stuff about Bitcoin in 2019 and 2020 when Musk said he wasn't going to buy it anymore. You know, he's like, yeah, I totally agree with this. Bitcoin needs to be stopped. It's an environmental disaster, blah, blah, blah. Like the Bitcoiners who think, I'll just repeat the rant. For the Bitcoiners who think that you're going to somehow be above the law.
Not above, or just existing. See, Joey, you're going down a path here. I gave you a node last week, and it seems like within the past few days, you've advanced your Bitcoin journey quite a bit. Since putting your hands on the node. I know it's not yet synced, but just having it, you're like, wow, you advanced a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have any faith in the banking system?
Any faith? I mean, long term, no, obviously not. Yeah.
So we've been doing this show almost 4 years.
This might be the 4th year, actually. It's 208, I think, right? Yeah, this might be the anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Joey. Why would, after 4 years of this, seeing what's transpired, everything in the past, whatever amount of years, what happened in Ottawa just 2 years and change ago, why would anybody even consider putting a penny into the economic system that has been set up, that's traditional finance? No fucking way. You buy Bitcoin and you keep that Bitcoin. You just transact in Bitcoin. You do as much as you can in Bitcoin and you try to get out of that. That system, you're going to get fucking rugged. Bitcoin, you have the ability to control your financial future. Sure, they could close the off ramps. They could ostracize you. Doesn't matter. You have opportunities. We've been doing this show for 4 years. Hopefully you've had put 4 years worth of time and effort into finding a way to GTFO, right? And then once you have the ability to GTFO, you're okay.
See, I don't think it's that simple, and I know that we disagree on this point.
Simple.
We disagree on this point, right? Like I said in the chat, there's a group chat me and Len are in that's like not well adjusted at all. Certainly not for mixed company. And you know, the thing that I said in the chat was there's a whole bunch of people in Bitcoin who think that they can just like leave at any time when things get sour enough that you can no longer handle it. And
you see the beautiful.
There are laws, Len, there are laws on the books that stop that. Like no one is going to say no. You don't think you're on a list somewhere for this show?
I don't care if I'm on a list.
Like, how are you going to leave? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Harriet Tubman the fuck out of here underground? Like you're going to have to get on a plane or show a passport or cross a border.
You have more than one passport. You travel to the United States. You're visiting there. From there, you fly the fuck out.
I don't think it's that easy.
It is deadly simple. And that's it. And if you want to go, you could charter a flight to the US and then from there take an international flight with your other passport and go. And there's lots to do. Joey, there's lots to unpack here. That 100 million thing. Did you know when is the last time
you're talking about the Century Initiative, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're talking in the next 75 years, it's going to more than double, 2.5.
Yeah,
almost.
We're bringing over 60 million more Indians. Yeah, that's the plan.
How long did it take from we're at 40? We'll call it 40 million right now. I'm just rounding it. How long did it take to go from 20 to 40 million? How long do you think it took?
20 years.
57 years.
Wow, holy smokes.
To double it. So now we're talking 75 years to a little bit more than double it. So the projection is it's not like parabolic. It's just pretty much steady. So I'm looking at that. I'm not trying to defend
it. You're right. The population graph is not necessarily the bigger problem, right? If you look at the last 50 years, the same line that the population has also has like a social, let's say it has a social tensions line running beside it at about the same clip. once you get from 40 or from 20 to 40, you start to see that second line, the social tensions line, move vertically a little bit. From 40 to 100, that social tensions line is going to go vertical. And that's the problem, right? And the people,
exactly.
guys like right. Wiseman, guys like, they don't give a fuck. McKinsey, all these people, they don't care.
Going back, we talked about this every fucking week for 4 years. And even before that, who knows how much you've been looking and diving deep. So like there's been ample opportunity to do a fuck. 3 years ago, consoles came out. People made bank by selling those consoles, and it was all under the table.
That was 5 years ago. That's 5 years ago.
5 years ago. There's another console coming out in the very near future. The same thing could rinse and repeat. There's the opportunities here to make a decent amount of Bitcoin, period. And you can't, this stuff is yours. You own it. Who cares? Somebody could make plausible that you own it. How could anybody know how much you have? It's impossible to know, right? Like it's just virtually impossible. I don't even know how much I fucking have.
It's not, but it's not about, but like the law, the CRA law says that they can tell you whether or not they think you have something, and you got to pay on that.
Beautiful. You travel think about somebody hypothetically in the hypothetical world.
So
somebody visited the United States for a little bit. Oh, from there they hopped on a flight, went somewhere else.
Yeah.
Good fucking luck.
This is the case. So this is the other thing I said, and the reason I think voting is important is not because
harder.
I think
No, you do it harder. That's
you have to vote hard. It's not because I think that voting is going to change the outcome.
It will not.
But I don't think that it will. Okay, but even the most like staunch multi-passport United States visit enjoyer to international flight hopper has to admit that there could come a time, much like with the frozen bank accounts thing. Okay. There could come a time when there's a capital flight issue. It happens very quickly, and suddenly the Bitcoiners aren't allowed to leave the state to go to the States anymore. And then what do you do?
Then you use a charter a flight.
You're getting into territory that you've never done. You don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if that's the only thing that's available, if you're going to be able to afford it because the demand's going to go up so high. You need to know people that you probably don't know right now. It's difficult. And so my suggestion to people is not to ignore elections. It is to vote to extend your runway, your personal runway, as much and as long as possible.
Well, let's talk about the examples we have.
The decel, as the kids
not even
call
a decel. You're talking Canada to this point. Like, let's go back 2015. Like, Canada was in a recession in 2015.
Allegedly, yeah. I've heard about it anyway.
Oil prices were tanking, and that's a huge result of it. But 2015, Canada was in a recession. Like, why did Stephen Harper get kicked out, and why did Justin Trudeau win a resounding victory, made huge gains in every part of Canada? Why? You got to look at, well, people were tired of Harper at the time.
Yeah,
people were tired. The economy was, there was in a recession at the time. You had a very lengthy election. There's a lot going on there. Also, remember, there was one thing called Bill 51. Remember the anti-terrorist bill? That was a lot of people.
Yeah, I do actually.
What's to stop? Oh man, Bitcoin. Is there a possibility in the future, just in the way you see things playing out, could Bitcoin be considered a terroristic discussion?
Yes,
bringing up, talking, and promoting it because it's.
We've already talked about either the UK or EU talked about how if you're
Bill 51.
I don't know.
It's the Blues. And who is part of the fucking Blues? The guy that's right now is part of the Blues.
Yeah, I was there in 2015.
This guy, he has been there since his 20s.
I'm not disagreeing with this, by the way. I just think that I think the runway is longer under one party than the other.
Same. No. I'm gonna argue it's the same thing.
Okay, so this is a different argument than we've had before.
It's the exact. I'm going to give you an example. 2022 March, I went to London, Ontario to go to Tahini's. Pierre Poilievre was there. He bought a shawarma with Bitcoin using Lightning. Bitcoin at the time was around $45,000. Shortly thereafter, we had Luna. We had a few things that happened, and
15K, right? Yeah,
15K, right? And during that huge drawdown, a lot of people were ragging on Pierre Poilievre, talking about Bitcoin. How could this be a protection against inflation. How could you even talk about this? The risk in this, people are going to lose their life savings. He never talked about Bitcoin again. And there's a reason for that. And I'll go further back. Just a month prior to going to Tahini's, he was on Breedlove show. I invited him to come. I personally invited him to come, and I asked him and Shifas did not want to come. That's fine. That's his choice. Bitcoin was not discussed again, and it has not been discussed again. It's not on this platform. It wasn't Trump's platform, kind of. Like, he went to at least a Bitcoin conference. This guy hasn't even talked about Bitcoin at all. If you believe in something, Joey, you will stand by that.
For sure. Yeah.
What this shows me is that he's willing to forego something.
We agree on this.
Something else.
Yeah, we agree on this. Yeah.
And if you're willing to do that, what are you going to do to maintain once you have that? You're going to give up something else and something else. So to me,
people are loving this. By the way, the viewer number just keeps going up.
Beautiful. It will be the same shit. So as I said, Canada only had 2 parties that ever governed. Now, the Liberal Party of Canada, as we have today, is not the same Liberal Party even 20 years ago. And even the Conservative Party is not the same Progressive Conservative Party 40 years ago. But still, there's a lineage here. We have to at least acknowledge that only 2 parties that ever governed and will continue to govern. And they got us to this point. It's not like this prosperity. We're looking.
It's the blob. It's the blob. Yeah.
So there's no like decel. It's the same fucking shit.
Interesting.
You will get to the same end. I don't think it's going to change the timeline. Carney, you even said, I want to bring up something. He didn't torpedo 2 economies. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Because 2008, right, he was the governor of the Bank of Canada. This was a global thing.
He mishandled. He didn't torpedo, but he did mishandle.
It's mortgage-backed securities that were done by U.S. banks, large U.S. banks, and international banks. Canada's a minnow in this. So what could he have done?
Keith Dicker tells this story.
The same thing with Brexit. That was a political thing. What could he have done to have alleviated? Like,
he can't help but put his emotional thoughts on things into the public discourse, right? Like, he's the Bank of England governor. He has to comment on Brexit, how he thinks it's, whatever he said, I forget now, but
what can, in this type of situation, and this was the
point is that he mishandled it in both cases. I'm not saying, because he doesn't have to talk about it as the Bank of England governor, number one, and number two, he doesn't have to let the Canadian housing market continue to just rip higher during those key years of the 08 crisis. He doesn't have to do that, right?
Is the governor of the central bank, is it a political position?
It is a political position.
Then they're subservient to the politics of the day. Then it's the politicians.
See, I don't necessarily think that's what a political position at the bank is subservient to. I don't believe that to be the case.
Who appoints that person?
That guy is operating like Carney is not the kind of guy who is influenced by what the popular opinion is, or even what the right thing is. He's an extremist. And you see this in his climate policy. You see this in his,
that's
his speeches.
A totally different argument.
I know, but I'm saying, like, the idea that he is political in terms of position, but not political in terms of incentives, and that's a dangerous place to be. Like, because political incentivizing is like a feasible thing for people, right? Like, if you're Poilievre, you're doing what's politically wise, or what you think is politically wise.
No, he's
if you're
a
Carney,
populist.
Yeah, if you're Carney, I'm not convinced you're doing that. You're doing what you think is right because you know better.
I agree.
Did it as Bank of Canada governor, did it as Bank of England governor, and he's going to do it as a prime minister. That's what I would say.
He probably did it, but I don't think like his actions really changed anything. Governor of the Bank of Canada, really, what the fuck did they do? Like, I mean, the grand scheme of things. Again, going back that Great Recession, Canada, there's almost nothing they could have done to have shielded themselves.
Yeah,
and in fact, they did a decent job because of laws and how banks were set up here. We didn't have any banks that went tits up here.
No, we didn't. We were largely.
So that's
okay. So this argument aside, good argument. Where do you?
No, there's more. There's more to this.
Go. Okay, keep going. Okay,
like,
sure.
Poilievre, Bill S210. This the one that just came out.
Yep.
This is you had to register your age to watch these
adult content. Yeah.
Thank you. The slippery slope.
We talked about this a lot on Axis of Easy. Yeah, I think it's a bullshit law. Yeah.
Incredibly, the Liberals were against this. right? Like this is part of like fuck. We're looking at what's going to happen in the next few years. Joey, like I don't care. This is Excel or Excel. Vote harder. You're going to get Excel.
So,
and I'm not even considering Blanchet. I'm not even considering fucking Jagmeet Singh.
The big question then is like what if we both think that this is going the same way? The only difference sounds like is the time horizon. Like, you're not worried at all that this is going to happen too quickly for you to act?
I have acted. I have done lots to this point, and I urge you, Joey, and you, everyone watching and listening in, take fucking time to look into this. You see what's going on around you. Is it getting better? Find somewhere else. Like, there are places, and there's no perfect place out there. I think I found the perfect place for me, and it's riddled with problems. I could admit that. But the problems that exist over there, I could stomach because there's a lot more good that comes with the bad. Here, like the fucking, like the weather, like the shit just fucking drives me down. You know what I mean? Like, so
everybody.
Well, some people like it. Some people like to go skiing or skating or playing. I don't do that. I'm not a winter guy. So that's not me. Fuck it. So just, you have time. You still have that window of opportunity to look, to explore, to take action. Also, you could continually build on your Bitcoin nest. There's nothing stopping you from buying Bitcoin, either through an exchange or peer-to-peer, or also doing services on the side for Bitcoin Direct or cash and converting that into Bitcoin. Of course, disclaimer, you have to declare that to CRA. There's opportunities exist right now to do that. Don't miss that before the window closes. Once that window closes, you're going to be kicking yourself. It's like that fucking tree adage. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Yeah. So don't fucking wait for tomorrow. Do it today. You have an opportunity to look into it. I have. And I'm just fucking urging everybody. And you even said it's tough to bring everybody with you. That's fine. You can't bring everybody with you. Bring the ones that you truly care about. And the ones that can't, and they have to stay behind for whatever reason, all the more power to them. You know, like, it sucks. But this is it. Yeah, I am quitting.
Who's going to win the election?
I think it's going to be Poilievre. I think Poilievre might pull a majority here. I'm just basing it off so few pieces of information, and so my opinion could change in the next 4 weeks and change. There was an event that took place in North York yesterday.
Yeah,
Poilievre went. I think it was yesterday.
It was last night.
Was it?
Yeah,
they had to turn away people at the door because
the line looked nuts. Yeah, it was around.
And at the same time, it was reported that Carney had to go to, or was in Newfoundland, and there was a protest preventing him from getting to the location. Like, just those things, those little things, make me believe, man, oh man, I think that there's going to be a conservative majority here. Carney might be able to still get 100 seats or so, which is a huge gain. But I don't know. I can't see a path for him to power without Quebec. And there's no way he's going to be able to get Quebec.
Certainly not now. The TVA, like, there's still going to be a French language debate, but the TVA one is like the Quebec station debate. And so he's not going to do that one. Have you seen the clip of Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney having a little tete-a-tete in 2020 over the pipelines and Brookfield's investment in overseas oil and gas while stopping Canadian investment in oil and gas? It's pretty good. It's a glimpse into what the debate could look like. Carney, smarmy, speaking down to people. Poilievre asking direct questions, not getting direct answers. I think it's going to be hard for Carney to win a debate, but I also don't think Poilievre is that competent. I don't think his campaign is that competent. I think if I look at yesterday's event, what should have been like a home run campaign launch event on Sunday night, had a few thousand people watching on YouTube. There's probably another 1,000, 1,500 people in the room with them there. I thought it was a disaster. I thought Roman Baber, doing the intros of some of the people in the room, little stuff like didn't know how to say their names. Poilievre's wife gets up on stage. She's not really much of a public speaker, and I think is not what you need right now in an election cycle. And then Pierre, again, when you leave him on his own, if he speaks for more than 20 or 30 seconds, he starts to trip. And he did it again last night, even though that's like a friendly crowd. There's no questions. It's just like a rally, basically, to announce you're, going to try and win an election in a month. And I just don't think either campaign is very competent. And if all those variables are in flux, then potentially there's a dice roll where Poilievre fucks up every single one of them, and then all Carney has to do is be neutral in a debate and and control the one thing he can control, which I think is the speaking down and the tone. And if he's able to do that, I think it could be a liberal win. I'm not sure if I'd say it's a majority, like 338. 338 thinks liberals are winning 338 seats in April. I don't think that's the case, but I do think it's possible. It's a majority. There's people like you and me and people who listen to watch the show look at stuff like, what about the policies? We just did this whole rant on CPPIB and Wiseman and Butts and Eurasia last week and the week before that. But a lot of people just turn on the debates and go on vibes. And I don't think Pierre's got a good vibe, honestly. I really do think that there's something about that guy that's going to turn people off when he gets into a position where he's got to go one-on-one with what could be a cool, calm, and collected, and in a lot of ways, very qualified Mark Carney. That's the thing that I think people should be concerned about.
What's going to happen in 905? That's going to
905s are going 905s are going to vote liberal, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
then it's going to be a
905 is an NDP provincially, right? So,
no,
I can't
provincially. It's blue. A lot of blue.
Nope, there's no blue in Hamilton. It's Donna Skelly.
905 stretches
can't
as far
win.
east as Whitby, Oshawa. I'm not
sure.
That's
905 Whitby.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
I thought that was
King City.
I thought that was 416. Oh, I don't know. Hamilton will be red.
So
sure.
let's
Dundas will be red. Hamilton will be red.
Imagine
the other thing too, like the other thing people should consider, and I'll let you talk about the electoral borders. What about the NDP? Who
lost?
Okay, so isn't the question then like can the Conservatives outvote Liberal and NDP? It's not going to be a Liberal NDP split. It's going to be like NDP gets close to nothing, and all those people are going to vote Liberal, right? So like that's a whole other piece of the equation when people say, "Oh, NDP is going to like." No, I don't. I think that's going to be bad for conservative candidates in a lot of places. In Hamilton, for sure, it's going to be bad for them. I don't know about other spots in the area, but you're telling me 905 goes all the way to fucking Alberta now. I didn't know that. I thought
no 905
around
here. a big semicircle around Toronto.
Okay.
And that is essentially 905. King City is pretty far north. That's 905.
It is. Yeah,
I'm in 905. I'm in Oakville, and Burlington is also Milton.
Wow.
So and I'm the west side. The east side I've mentioned it's in Oshawa, Whitby, Richmond Hill, Thornhill, Woodbridge. Like it's a fucking huge area. So provincially, a lot of blue. So going back to federally, what's going to happen? I don't know. I suspect there's going to be like a smattering of red and blue. 416, it seems like it's going to be mostly red.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some inroads for blue. And it's not going to be the same way it was in 2011 where the Liberals got 30 seats. It's
going to be like, it's like, how much do you hate Trudeau and the last 10 years? And how much do you hate, like it's all, I'm worried about a vibes election. Vibes elections are not good. They're hard to predict, a lot of variables. And it's on a Monday night too, so that's good for us. But I'd like to know what the turnout is on a Monday after a weekend for an election. Be curious about that.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah,
the NDP are broke.
Yeah, totally.
They don't have
to
enough
sell
money.
A couple of his Gucci bags maybe and fund.
And there's going to be. I can't believe this is possible. There's going to be a possibility that the People Party of Canada might have a lot of seats. When I say a lot, I mean more than zero.
Yeah.
Which is what they have right now.
Well, what was the thing I sent you today? The CTV projection from February 28th had him at like 30-something seats.
I think it's going to come from Quebec.
Because Quebec, Bernier, yeah.
Because Quebec has to vote. They're going to vote for some bloc, right? But there's always a Federalist Party that usually picks up the rest. In the last few years has been the Liberal Party for the most part. Before that, it was the NDP. And so it was never really the Conservatives since Mulroney. So it's probably not going to be Poilievre again. The Liberal Party, an Anglophone Liberal leader never does well in Quebec. And this guy is switching, not going to do the French language debate. I can't see them making very huge gains there.
He's doing one French language debate, just
it's
not
still,
the TVA one. Yeah.
He's still not going to do very well.
Agreed.
Because again, like the Anglophone Liberal leaders tend to do very poorly.
His French is bad. He sounds like I sounded when I was learning French.
Well,
yeah.
Paul Martin, his French was much better, but he couldn't do because a little sponsorship scandal. But just historically, they don't. Anglophone leaders don't do well in Anglophone liberal leaders don't do well in Quebec. NDP, no way.
No.
So what Federalist parties left? There's the vacuum
PPC.
there. It's going to be potentially, I'm not saying for sure, potentially PPC.
The potential party of Canada. Yeah.
Potential party. So that could be an absolute incredible turn of events where you have then the Bloc getting their 20, 30 seats, and then the PPC maybe getting 30 seats, 20, whatever, maybe, and then the rest go to the Liberal Party over there. That's a lot from Quebec. And then depending how it goes in Ontario, that's going to be the deciding factor of who wins the election. Because if the Liberals do really well in Ontario, then they could probably carry that the rest of the country. If the Conservatives, like they do in 905, they do really well there. Because in 2011, they formed a government without Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been done. It could be done again. I don't know.
I
think that's going to be majority for the Conservative Party.
Yeah, I'm
not cheering for anybody. This is just what I see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The debates are going to be must watch, I think, for the first time in this country in a long time.
When is the last?
Who's getting excited about O'Toole Trudeau debates? Right, like nobody. Who's getting excited about Harper Trudeau? 90s. Nobody. Who was the candidate for the Conservatives in 2019? Scheer. That's right. God, I forgot the guy's fucking name. He's so milquetoast. Jeez. Yeah. You know, it's gonna be interesting.
He should have got a second kick at the can, I thought.
Yeah. You know what? His time has passed because his personality just doesn't lend itself to what is needed now. It's a sort of a soundbite economy at the moment. And it worked for Poilievre for a long time. But like I said, I think that's probably run its course. Funny, we talked about Jim Balsillie running as a Conservative a few weeks ago on the show. Maybe it was last week. If Poilievre loses, you saw he surfaced out of nowhere on the Jordan Peterson podcast. What are the odds of that? You think Jim Balsillie is thinking about getting into politics?
Or what about what's a Mr. Wonderful? What's his name? Not
O'Leary?
Yeah. Kevin O'Leary. Yeah. Right. So why not him? Like he tried running in the past. Why not try running again? He's been very active in talking about Canadian politics. So it's not like he's been shying away from it. What about Gretzky?
I would love to see Gretzky run. Yeah. But
they're throwing fucking feces at his statue.
He's got better stuff to do. Like I said on this show a couple weeks ago, like if you think that a trade war is cleverly, putting clever quips under Gretzky wine at the liquor store and buying Canadian ketchup, you got a fucking wake up call coming. Although I did see today the tariffs are going to be more narrow than originally announced. So who knows what that's going to look like come April 2nd.
That's going to impact too.
100%. Danielle Smith is in the news because people are claiming she's told Trump just wait till after the Canadian election to run the tariff. Yeah. And you get a more friendly prime minister.
So Trump's actions is definitely going to impact what happens moving forward to what a fucking interesting time we have right now. And they wanted the election. It's not like it had to. They decided this is the right time to do it.
Yeah.
So if they fail, if it's going to look so fucking bad because they were in power. If the majority goes to the Conservative Party, I can't see Carney sticking around. If it's a minority government, any way, shape, or form, Carney is probably going to stick around.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Like
he's got the personality to be there till he dies. He's like the Pope, Like he no. I don't think that guy's. I don't think he's interested in doing anything else. I do think that it's funny, and this will come up in the debates. Like if I had to pick a couple of things that I would really poke at Carney for, one would be the Brookfield move. I think they gotta ask him about those Ghislaine Maxwell pictures. I can't imagine they just let that go. And then maybe the other
untouchable territory though.
I don't know, but I mean, she's in jail, convicted, so it's not like it's debatable. And the question you have for the guy is like, what the fuck were you doing at a party with this person? Do you not like look into the people who you're affiliated with or associated with? It's not like you were just there having a good time. He's on Molly in a fucking park. You can tell. I've seen that look a million fucking times. They're tripping.
You were at a what is it? Almost sharing drinks with guys like Chris Sky and stuff. You know you weren't, but like if somebody took a picture, right, and said, "Look here, everybody's smiling," and you know what I mean. I'm not trying to give him a pass.
Posing for a picture is one thing, but they're not. That the pictures are not. He's not posing.
Yeah,
like they're candid. He's having a good time. He's on his fucking knees, crawling toward his wife and Ghislaine Maxwell, who are already situated there. Like That's not a staged photo. They're shooting shit.
I don't know.
Nightmare blunt rotation. Carney, his weirdo wife, Ghislaine Maxwell, and whoever else is at that, festival they were at. It is a festival on a private property. You telling me these guys are not on drugs? Like, okay, fine. I guess I got a bridge to sell you, but whatever.
Let's talk about the asylum claims over here. Fuck that. Let's end this show.
Yeah.
No, let's end the show.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this shit all day, but
did you see the asylum claims?
Of course I did. I got in this argument with Benjamin Rabideau on this program 3 months ago. And I told him, he's like, no, the number's going to go down. We're going to lose people, blah, blah, blah. I told him, this is what's going to happen. They're going to start filing asylum claims. We don't have the capacity to deal with it. We refuse to say no to these fucking brain dead international laws that you have to take all these asylum claimants and review them all. They got to be allowed to stay until you review them. We refuse to back down, or we refuse to stand up for ourselves. And so naturally, all these kids on 2-year hospitality degrees who don't want to go back to India are going to file asylum claims. There's no end to the shamelessness of the people who came here.
You're both right, though. I'll explain, because people have left, and it's measurable for the people that have left.
Okay.
But it's an influx of inland asylum claims. So you're both right. People did leave.
So let me ask you this then. Given what I told you about Wiseman, Carney, Eurasia, Century Initiative, do you think Carney is going to say, yeah, we got to send these guys back, asylum claimants can't stay? Or do you think he's going to say, we got to be gentle, let them stay, keep them here? How many widgets? Amazon's going to start delivering me shit in an hour instead of overnight if we keep on taking people.
What they have to do is they have to increase the amount of people that are processing those applications in order to move them along faster. And I don't think
why don't we put up a couple of LMIAs for those positions? Can we do that? WestJet's hiring temporary foreign workers to pilot aircraft. So why can't we bring in a couple of people from fucking, whatever country to process asylum claims? It's insane. It is absolutely insane.
Joey, the information is that we talk about, and I'm telling you, Operation GTFO fucking started. I'm fucking not trying to be funny here. I'm trying to be deadly serious. What is holding you here? In 5-10, like nothing, nothing. Maybe family, but like, God, it comes a point in time where you got to say, you got to look for number one.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if there's no future, there is no fucking future.
Yeah.
And there's I can't see it. Just, and everybody's got to do the same fucking thing. You think this is going to stop? You think?
No, it's not. The end game is already, the end is determined. Yeah.
Fucking intersections are being blocked for services.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can't fucking expect this to stop. The frequency of this shit happening is going to increase. And now, instead of going into intersections, it's going to happen on the fucking 401 or Gardner, which it fucking has happened. People have
already started. Yeah, it already started. Yeah. Wait till the summer. The weather's not really protest friendly right now, and it's still happening. Wait till the summertime to see what this really turns into. Yeah.
So what do you do? What, like, going back? I'm gonna vote fucking for this guy 10 times. Fuck that. No, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. The world is so fucking large. There's so much to do. And you know what? Like, most of my capital is locked up in my house, but I can respect that. But man, the Bitcoin I have, it's fucking liquid. Like, I could almost just say, fuck the house. Everything else I could just take with me, and
deal with the house remote. Yeah.
I just walk away and just like, if things get that bad and Bitcoin rips, like, who just, like, there's so many beautiful places to live in. There's so much history people could look at, culture, food, good weather, and you will only have one chance at this life,
for sure.
Right? Once you lose it, that's it. So make the most of it. Right? Don't fucking die in the hill that this is the place you're going to have to live.
Yeah, don't die waiting for it to get better, or pretending that you're living in a world that you want to live in instead of the one you're actually living in. Those are huge mistakes that a lot of people are making right now.
Be transient. Like, if the next place sucks, go to the next end and the next end and next. Eventually you'll find something, or eventually the world just keeps getting worse. You're just always one step ahead of where the shittiness is. And that's a good place to be, rather than just sticking it out in the fucking frigid cold for 6 months of the year. You can't play tennis and golf outside. Fuck that shit.
Agreed. Let's
send it.
Let's get out of here. Yeah. Come back Thursday. I'll be here with Praveen. Maybe Len will be here. Hopefully he's here. If he's still in the country, I don't know. He could be packing his bags right now off camera. I'm not 100% sure. So I'll have to find out. Might have thrown the show at a different time because of time zone issues pretty soon.
Did you know? Wait. Did you know there's potential? Oh no, I can't even say it. Fuck it. We'll just end it there. I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
God bless everyone. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Take care and don't be a cock.